So you have a dog that's at the end of the leash all the time. And that could be for a couple different reasons. This dog is a little anxious. You could also have a dog who is hyper excited. This one wants to be with the dog knows this lady, so wants to be with her. And generally, I'm sure this lady shares excitement. Most rescue people do. She's given me some attention and a loose leash, so I give affection. And if you've got a dog that is pulling on the leash in front of you and that dog is at all reactive, you're going to get more of it because it will promote reactivity. So we get some reactivity there. The dog was in front, saw the other dogs across the street. The leash was tight, and then we got reaction. So I'm just calming the brain down by putting her in a sit, up on the leash, down with the butt, down with the butt again. And remember, if you want the dog to be calm, you have to be the source of calm. It is unfair to think a dog will be calm if you are providing anything but that. So I decided to work with the dog a little bit on leash, put the leash all the way up on the highest part of the neck. Highest part of the neck is the most sensitive part of the neck and allows you the most control. The middle of the neck is where you can choke the dog or adrenalize the dog, and the bottom of the neck is the strongest part of the neck, and that's what allows them to track or pull. So if a dog is pulling you, it's going to pull that leash down to the bottom of the neck and give them more power to pull you. And if you pull back, you're creating resistance and they will pull you more. So you put the leash at the top of the neck so that you can have a little more control, just like in dog shows. Up is the brake, back is the gas. But right here, I am teaching the dog a boundary at the end of the leash. So every time the dog is to the end of the leash, I'm just creating a boundary there. Now she's meeting a person, I'm keeping the leash nice and loose. Anytime a dog is going to greet another human or dog, you want to keep the leash loose because we don't want that greeting to be associated with tension. If the dog is already unsure and you provide tension, the dog says, well, we're in agreement. We're all tense about this person or dog. I'm going to defend myself. So, boundary at the end of the leash. What I'm looking for is the dog to pay attention to me and follow my direction. Yes, that's good. That's better. The dog is getting more and more sensitive to the end of the leash, and that's what we like. Sometimes I use a little bit of voice and body language to bring her along with me. Sometimes I'm using leash pressure. There we go. We're using pressure and release, just like we already talked about in the other video. And this is just another way to get a dog leash trained if you're not using the transitional leash or a head harness. Head harness will be faster, but this is another way in case you don't have something like that at your disposal. Sometimes we just got to use the tools we got. This dog is distracted by every person she sees. She wants to go say hi to every person. So I'm trying to keep her focused on me. Yes. So I'm walking backwards, giving some motivation, doing some happy-go-lucky stuff. I'm doing a little bit of talking to her, giving some affection for doing what I'm asking. I want the connection. I want her paying attention to me. There we go. So she's getting more and more sensitive to the end of the leash, and that's what I'm looking for. So I block by just stopping. She gets to the end of the leash and she stopped. I want her to stop when she gets to the end of the leash. I want her to stop or change direction or look at me. I don't want her to continue to pull. And once in a while, this dog freezes up. She's a sensitive dog and she's a little anxious. We don't know what the trigger is for the tensing up. So I'm giving some space, adding a little bit of pressure. There she goes. Since she likes being with people so much, and every time she sees a person, she like wants to go over there, getting away from her can be a good tactic to get her to come with, because she wants to be with people. I'm saying this dog is up for adoption. You can take her home. Good. So she was nice and loose on the leash there. As soon as she got to the end, I stopped, changed direction. Shortening the leash a little bit because I kind of want to reel her in a little. Facing her when she goes into that freeze mode. I didn't want to add any pressure, so that's why I changed my body direction. But the camera person has asked me a question, so now I'm answering her question. Now, just waiting is another way to potentially get a dog moving. Sometimes they just need a minute to take in what's going on around them, and there we go. Sometimes they just need a minute because they're like, what was that? And they need a second to process. So you wait with them, they process, and then they start moving again. I just met this dog, so we're just figuring out how she feels, how she sees the world. That's good. Yes. Just enough pressure to get her moving. I don't want to yank this dog around. I don't want her to yank me around. I want it to be a mutually beneficial experience where we're all enjoying ourselves and we all feel safe. I want her to know that she can trust and respect me, and vice versa. Yes, good girl. That was good. So every time she stops and she follows me again, that's a moment to celebrate. Now she kept kind of pulling over into these bushes over there, so I think this is the moment, where I let her go over there. She had already peed one time, but I had a feeling she needed to go again, and she did. Sometimes they're pulling because they gotta go, guys. Sometimes you just gotta say, you know what? Maybe they have to pee. So this is an opening process, a beginning process to getting a new dog more sensitive to the leash, creating boundaries at the end of it, and having them develop a little bit of relationship with us where they're not feeling so excited or anxious that they feel like they have to run away or drag you down the street or be in charge. I want a dog to feel like they can trust me and that they're comfortable in my presence and with me guiding them through the world. Could you use treats in these scenarios? Yes, you could. Sensitive dogs don't always take them, but you could try. And notice every time she's angled in a certain way where the leash is going down the spine, I change to the side so that I can get her, so I can turn the body and get her moving with me. That's good. I'm starting to reel the leash in a little bit so we can get it shorter. I feel like she's done enough of this back and forth that she is probably willing to walk next to me on a loose leash, except she has these little moments where she freezes. Don't know what the trigger is for that, but you work with her enough and she'll get it. So here we are with the shorter leash, having her just walk right next to me, which is great. The leash is short but not tight. And, every time I grab a leash, I have an expectation of how I want that dog to behave, and sometimes that's enough. Dogs can feel your intention. So if you grab the leash with the intention of just leading the dog on a loose leash and you're going to have a great time, a lot of times they just go with that. And when you have a dog that you've worked with for several minutes where they're at the end of the leash and pulling you like crazy, sometimes you have to let that go and not expect them to pull you and just expect them to do it right. And it may not be smooth in the beginning. See, she did it once, and then the second time I had to block her a little bit. Remember, to block or stop the dog, we do pressure up on the leash, not back. Back creates more resistance, and they want to pull you more. There we go. It's kind of like train tracks. You are the train tracks, and the dog is the train. So your job is to keep the dog on the tracks. So if they veer off in one direction, you just give them a little bump to bring them right back. There we go. That's nice. This isn't a perfect exercise, but in the beginning, it doesn't always look perfect. And I'd say with this dog, another 2 or 3 sessions and she'd be really great on a leash. So this is a dog where she's not at a point where I could put her in a pack walk yet, because she's still a little unsure. She's still a little too pulley. And using a head harness would definitely make this process faster. But just with a regular leash around the neck, she's not there yet. But this is the beginning.